Brian Palavai, Run Far here with Dylan Bowman before the 2014 Western States 100. How you doing, Dylan?
Doing really well, thanks.
It's a much shorter trip out here these days for you.
Yeah, 3 hours via the Jeep. It was another good trip in the Jeep, and I'm happy to be back. And yeah, another year at States.
Still feels like a long way, though, right? I mean, it's
it feels like a long way in that you think about this weekend all year, and then when you're driving, you're like, wow, I'm actually driving up to Squaw, and it's that time of the year again. So happy to be back.
Megan asked why you keep coming back in our written interview, but now that as you're driving up or as you get here, what are the emotions you're feeling, and how have they changed since you came here for the first time?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that this is already the third one. The emotion is still the same. You know, when I got here the first year, I qualified last minute at Leona Divide, and really came in with an attitude of, you know, I'm just gonna go for it. I've got nothing to lose. Who knows if I'll ever be back? And I've been lucky enough to come back now 2 more times. So the emotion's still the same in that it's basically the focus of my entire year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really excited about it. My whole family's coming back again, and they're all really excited about it. So it's a awesome time of year, you know, get to see a lot of friends. Everybody gathers here in Squaw, and it's just a special time.
Yeah, you gather your friends here, your family, Tiernan's coming out.
Right.
Is that your normal setup, your family sort of crewing for you, Zeke, if you can get them to pace?
Yeah, definitely. My family are, you know, as big of ultra fans, I think, as I am at this point, and they wouldn't miss Western States. You know, even if I wasn't racing, they'd probably still want to come out. And yeah, the Tiernan bros coming. I'm so excited about that. You know, Zeke has obviously been a huge mentor and inspiration for me since I started running these races, and Alex is a good friend as well, somebody I've trained with a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm psyched. Yeah.
With Zeke, how has he been a mentor to you? I mean, because he's on the radar for a year or two, and then he pops off. And
yeah, but we stay in touch. You know, we talk as much as we can, probably every month or so. Even though I'm living out here in California now, and he's just always got good things to say. And coming from a really structured, you know, collegiate CU program kind of background, he's just really smart, and he's a really, really strong, tough dude. And you know, really the thing that inspired me to run ultras was an article that was written about him. So it's kind of funny how it's kind of come full circle, and I'm really excited to share some miles with him on the course.
What's the best advice he's ever given you?
I think he more so just kind of keeps me out of my own head, and when I feel like I'm fat and out of shape, he's there to kind of talk some sense into me. But yeah, you know, I've always bounced ideas off of him. We've always kind of had different training methodologies, but you know, now my training is more like his training was a couple years ago. So yeah, you know, he's helped me in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Much different than last year. You've been living with the Marin boys. You're training with Jason Coop. That so far this year, it seemed to get you sharper with a great run at Sean O'Brien, a win at the North Face Bear Mountain. Do you think you're sharper now than you were in those 2 races, or have you had any point where you felt like maybe I'm training too hard, too intense, whether it's from the workouts you've been doing or just you do have a lot of fast guys to run with?
Yeah, you know, I think I probably don't feel as sharp as I did going into the 50 milers, but that's because the training's been different. Mm-hmm. You know, for 50-mile race, my volume was, you know, significantly lower than it has been over the past 4 or 5 weeks. But that's kind of the strategy, and that's been the plan from Coach Coop. You know, there have been times where I've felt like I'm barely hanging on, you know, and barely able to get out the door for some workouts. But, you know, I think pushing yourself to that limit is what allows you to reach your real potential and allow you to have those breakthrough kind of races. So that's obviously the hope for this weekend, is to have a breakthrough kind of race. The training has been as good as I could possibly ask for. You know, I'm injury free. I put a lot of really good work in. I've suffered a lot, and I feel like I've absorbed it really well now. Tapered down. I mean, I just did a 45-minute run where I had to kind of force myself to stop because I just felt really good, really energized. So I'm hoping for a good one, man.
Yeah. What does a breakthrough race get you? I know you talked about the time a little bit, maybe a sub 16, 15:45, but you know, can you get on the podium? Can you? I mean, on your perfect day, do you visualize winning this race?
Well, I think the dream is always to win a race like this. And as somebody who's been an athlete my whole life, you know, and coming from a team sport background, it's either win or lose. You know, there's no second place in a lacrosse game. You know, if you get second place, you lost. So the dream is always to win the race, whether or not it's realistic. You know, I have those internal conversations a lot, and you know, if I'm being 100% honest, it's probably not realistic to win the race this weekend. I think if I have my absolute best day, yeah, I could run onto the podium. But you know, if you give me a whiff of the victory in the last 20 miles, I'll definitely bury myself to get there. So who knows, man.
But that's it. I mean, that for somebody like you who's sort of on that fence where you can dream of winning, but a podium would be like a great race. In the first 50 or 60 miles, how do you approach the race? Do you approach it to put yourself in a position to win, or do you run the smart race that gives you the, you know, sort of the potential to run the best time, you know, a strong time?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned in my 2 races here that really you have to be able to run hard in the last 20 miles. And if you're not, you're losing time to a lot of people. I think this year it's going to go out hot just because of the cast of characters that are coming out this year. I'm definitely going to be focused on keeping it very relaxed until Forest Hill. I have a general idea of the splits I'd like to hit, but you know, I really hope to not get caught up.
Could there be a group like you and Nick Clark and Ian Sharman who are all, like a second pack off the front group at 40 or 50 miles that work together?
Definitely, I could see that happening. You know, there's a lot of really fast runners in this race. There's also a ton of really smart, tough runners in this race. I kind of see myself as a mix between those 2 styles of athletes. I like to be near the front because I think I lack a little bit of toughness that it takes to really push, you know, at the end of a race. Of course, these are things that I've tried to work on in training. So I don't have a major plan outside of, you know, trying to remain conservative. There's definitely guys who I'll key off of and sort of mark in terms of like guys I'd like to be around. There's also guys I probably shouldn't be around early. So hopefully I'll be able to evaluate the dynamic of the race on the fly and make the smart decisions, because you know, at this race, this tiniest little error can mean a lot. So
yeah, one thing you have really done, just having looked back and writing the preview for this race, you've just been so consistent at 100 miles. Like, what do you think gets you there? Is it the preparation? Is it the strategy from the start? Is it how you check yourself along the way?
That's a good question, and yeah, you know, I have been consistent, and it's something I'm definitely really happy about and proud of. I've been pretty consistent across most distances too, and I feel like the hundreds, at least recently, have been where I've lacked like better consistency, or that's kind of where I've seen my poorer performances come. And if you lump Trans-Gran Canaria into that picture as well, which was a 16-hour race for me, you know, I sort of put that in the same category as the hundreds. You know, being consistent is something, like I said, that I'm proud of, but I think, you know, I definitely would prefer to have more wins and maybe a few like 20th place, you know, death marches.
So you'd like to be a little riskier.
I think there's something to be said for that, and you know, who knows? You know, I definitely am here for a third time, and fully prepared to put myself through whatever it takes, and I hope I'm man enough to take those risks on Saturday.
One guy, whenever I talk to somebody from NorCal this year, any ultra runner, they keep talking about Alex Varner. Mm-hmm. Tell me what to look for in him this weekend.
Yeah, Varner is really, really strong runner. Comes from the collegiate and road background, but it grew up in Marin, has been running on Mount Tam since he was a kid. He's really smart, he's a tough cat, and he likes to win, he's a competitive guy. I've said this to you already, but I see a huge parallel between him and Rob Krar from last year, in that he's only done one 50-miler, and he's never done 100. But he's the kind of talent where, he's been running since he was a kid. You just have to run a lot further than he ever has. Mm-hmm. And if he nails it, I think he could turn a lot of heads. I mean, he could have a race like Rob had last year.
Yeah. Nice. So, are you going to beat Varner, or is he going to?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Bay Area race within the race is going to be an interesting one this year. If I had to put my money on it, I would say Varner will probably win that race. But
yeah,
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
We got a big group this year. So
yeah. Well, best of luck to yourself, and have fun out there.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah. Thanks. Bonus question: the beard. What's with the beard?
Yeah, it's the first beard of my life. As a nearly 30-year-old man, I figured it was about time to give it a try. It's not the best beard in the world, but it was time to make a change from the clean-shaven, clean-cut. And I think the record has shown that people with facial hair at Western States tend to have better races.
Is that going to stick with you through the summer, or is this a one and done?
Probably not. It'll probably come off on Monday or Tuesday.
Gotcha.